What's up, friends? Welcome back to Spiritual Real Talk. Let's dive in because what I want to get into today will low-key change your life. I don't feel out of integrity making that claim. What we are going to talk about will totally change the way that you think about your thoughts, and most importantly, it'll change the way that you navigate what you don't know. So stay with me on this. There's that saying, you know what you know what you don't know, but there's a whole lot that you don't know that you don't know. I can tell you a lot of things that I don't know. I can definitely tell you all the things that I do know. 100%, we can have that conversation later. However, there is a whole field of information that I'm not even aware I don't know. And so when we start to find ourselves in a space of questioning, what do? I don't know. The last place that we should go to look for the answer is our mind. If you knew the answer here, it wouldn't be a question. Let that just land. If you knew the answer here, it wouldn't be a question. There's a saying, I think Albert Einstein is credited as saying it, or some other elderly white gentleman. The saying is, the level of awareness that produced the question is not the same level of awareness where the highest answer resides. The level of awareness that produced the question, meaning the part of you in your consciousness, in your mind, that doesn't know, the part of you that produced the question, is not the same part of you that's going to have the best answer. It's like searching through files that you've already looked through for an answer that isn't there. So as counterintuitive as it is, and I am with you, I get it, when you don't know, the last thing that you should do is try to figure out the answer. The last thing that you should do is try to think your way through it, because the mind and that part of you that thinks is the most constricted part of your being. So if you think of yourself as a multidimensional being with a mind, with certainly a body, with an emotional body, with a spirit, if you subscribe to that idea of a spirit or a soul, the mind is where all the constriction is. It's where all the fear is. It's where all the doubt is. It's where all the limiting beliefs and the limiting stories reside. All of it's there. It's where the repetition is. It's at that level of the mind and our brain that wants us to stay predictable, that wants us to stay in the shallow end where we've seen everything, where we know what the dangers are, where we know what to look for. Your brain is never going to chime in and say, hey, you know what we should do? Something totally unexpected and really scary. Your brain's never going to urge you to take that leap of faith. Your brain is there to keep you alive, and it's programmed to keep you in the repetition of what is known. And that is okay, but it makes for a really small, boring life. And that's not what we all authentically really want. Of course, we want to feel safe, and of course, we want to feel grounded. But really, if you're being honest, that little spark of the unknown is exciting. And I always say to people, in any space that is unknown, in any area of uncertainty, you get to decide if that unknown is exciting or terrifying. You get to decide. You get to narrate it. And the way that you say it to yourself, whether it's, oh, I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen. Or I have no idea what's going to happen. Right? So I always try to lean into the excited version of, I have no idea what's going to happen. Because when nothing is certain, anything is possible. An old white man did not say that. Your girl said that. When nothing is certain, anything is possible. And how epic is that? When nothing is certain, when you don't know anything, that means that anything is up for grabs. And that's why we meditate. As we meditate, we can ask the question, what do I do about this situation? Who am I? What do I want? What's the next best step for me? What's my purpose? Why am I here? Why am I afraid of love? Why am I afraid of taking chances? Whatever the questions are that come to mind that you desperately want an answer to, we ask them when we meditate, and it's almost like we drop them down into the space between our thoughts. So I like to imagine it's almost like casting a fishing line out. When we ask a question in meditation, and I am going to record a meditation for you to go along with this video, so check that. When we meditate, it's almost as if we can cast a fishing line out. So we put the question that we have, the thing that we want to have clarity on, we put that at the end of the fishing line. No worms, just energetic worms here with the question, and you cast it out. And not unlike fishing, if you've ever gone fishing, the fish don't come right away. You have to sit and you have to be quiet. You have to rest in presence and be aware of what's happening so that when that question does latch onto the line, or when the fish does, you can see it. You can pull it in. You can notice it because there isn't anything else going on to distract you. So that's what we do in meditation. Whenever we say, us meditation teachers, whenever we say things like meditate on it, that's what we mean. It always used to crack me up when I would be at retreats with Deepak Chopra and his team. When I would be working in the various ways that I've worked with him at these retreats, there would inevitably be moments that I would witness where people would come up to him, or to me a lot of times, because I was backstage for many years. They would come up to me and they would say, oh, I really want to ask him a question. I know if I could just ask him a question, he would know the answer and it would change my life, Megan. And at first I would say, okay, let me see if there's going to be a Q&A. Let me see what we can do. And eventually what I started to say, because it's what he always said to them whenever they did get that chance to connect, he would say, meditate on it. And I would say this to them. I would say, listen, Joan, whoever it was, he's going to tell you to meditate on it. He's not going to give you the answer. He's going to say, meditate on it. And they would say, no, I know. I feel like he would. And so inevitably Joan would get through somehow. And I would find her and I would say, did you get to ask your question? And she would say, yeah, he told me to meditate. So I rarely got credit for knowing the answer, but listen, I'll take it. I get it. But the reason why that's always the answer is because you know the answer. I don't know the answer. I might have an insight or a reflection for you, but the deepest, most potent wisdom and clarity is something that resides within you. And so asking the question is all the invitation that is necessary for you to hear the whispers that are already in you. I wrote a book. She's cute. I wrote a book, and the first line in the book, I wanted to share with you because it really speaks to this. So we're going to have a little story time moment for a hot second here. The book's called Don't Hate, Meditate. And so what I wrote was, when you're quiet, everything settles on the floor of your mind like sediment in undisturbed, still water. When you're quiet, you're able to see clearly everything that lands, all the fears, the stories you tell yourself, the mental turbulence. And in that moment, you remember that those things are not you, and for even a brief moment, you are free. So that first line, especially, when you're quiet, everything settles on the floor of your mind like sediment in undisturbed, still water. So if you've ever walked in water before, if you've ever walked on the shallow parts of the ocean as the waves are crashing, or like a lake especially, when you step, all of the sediment from the floor comes up and makes the water really murky. And you can't see anything. You can't see what's there. Your mind is exactly the same. So when you meditate, it's not that you are stopping your thoughts ever. That is never what is happening or should ever be the goal. But what does happen is there's a slowing down of the fluctuations of the mind. It's really a great definition of meditation. The gradual slowing of the cessations or the fluctuations of the mind. That's all you're doing. And as I said, there is a space between your thoughts that becomes available to you, that becomes almost palpable. And in that space between the thoughts, especially as those thoughts are slowed down. So it goes from thought, 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 thought. I can't snap. And you'd think I would find a different way to illustrate that in 14 years of doing this. I haven't. But it goes from thought, 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 thought to thought, 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 thought. Thought, 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 thought. And again, in that space, there's room. There's room for a new thought to emerge. Most of the thoughts that we have every day are repeat thoughts. I can't think of anything more depressing than that. And so every time you meditate, you're going to make room for new thoughts, for answers, for clarity, for wisdom, for the guidance of your intuition. And then it becomes a little less scary when you don't know. And the need to know becomes a little less urgent because you know that you know. You just haven't remembered yet. You already know, you just haven't remembered it yet. Write that down. Or just remember it. Keep that as a new thought. So I'm going to record a meditation for you all so that you can have this as a practice. But what I want to encourage you to do is write down the questions that are plaguing you. Write down the questions that you really want to have an answer to. What should I do in a certain situation? What should I do next? Why am I afraid of this? Right? What do I want? What is my life? What is life? Why am I here? Write down all the questions. Spare no question. There's no question too big or too small. Okay? Write them all down. Check out the next video. We'll learn how to meditate and ask those questions. And my deepest hope is that it's a practice that you'll take with you and keep it going. Because as I said to you, it can absolutely change your relationship with the unknown. I promise you. And life gets a whole lot more fun when you go from, I don't know what's going to happen, to, I don't know what's going to happen. It's so much more fun on the other side. So I hope you'll come hang out with me there. Sending you all the love. Have an epic rest of your day. I'll catch you soon.